Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in! Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Means we're brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. And we are fired up. You are here. Saints had a surprise retirement over the weekend, and they're back on the practice field today. Here's some sound from Kellen Moore a little bit later on in the show. Going to go up to Oxford, Mississippi. Michael Katz covers Ole Miss, and he's been involved in the inner workings of this lawsuit against Devin Harper and Principal Uman Mielen. He wrote a really good story over the weekend. I just wanted to get his thoughts on it and how it could work out over the course of the next, call it 6 months. There's a suggestion that if this does get to a court, that it'll be long after this season is completed by the time any sort of finality comes to it. But I'm curious, from somebody who's talked to a lot of attorneys and gotten to the bottom of what is going on there in Oxford with two of LSU's players. We'll talk to Michael Katz about that and maybe some football coming up in 30 minutes. So plenty to do. Plenty to do. LSU starts camp on a Wednesday of this week, so we'll get into some of that as we move forward. But right now, it's starting with baseball as our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
Took my kiddo to the swimming pool this weekend and came back. We're trying to get everybody dried off and get settled in for some dinner, and all of a sudden I look up and Logan Schmidt's posting on Instagram that he's going to head to LSU. So I checked on it with the program, got it confirmed, and we wrote it up at LouisianaSports.net. Logan Schmidt has decided he's going to play 3 years of college baseball at LSU. It's been kind of a 2-week unfolding of events from MLB Draft Day to Decision Day for Logan Schmidt. We knew there wasn't a significant deadline on this, only the beginning of school, which doesn't come up for another couple of weeks. But I told you it really wasn't a negotiation. It wasn't any more recruiting. This was just going to be a young man and his camp making a decision whenever they decided to do that. And ultimately, the decision fell in Jay Johnson's favor. I told you last week, I said, this is not decided. My instinct is to go with the chalk, which as of 2 weeks ago was that he was never going to play baseball at a 4-year college. And I just decided to stick with the chalk with no real inside information other than that LSU was pursuing him and had made its case. And ultimately, I was wrong. Logan Schmidt decided he wanted to go the LSU route and to try to fall in line with Cade Anderson, with Anthony Ianson, with Gage Jump, with Paul Skeens, with the guys that have gone to LSU, gotten into a phenomenal pitching ecosystem, developed themselves into elite-level prospects, and signed for huge money. And that's what he's going to attempt to do. This is a big get for LSU. There's no question about that. He was a second-round pick based on talent. That's not even conjecture. Sometimes we get on and we're talking about high school guys and we just throw it around. This guy's probably going to be first, second-round pick. This guy actually was a second-round pick. That's the difference. And that tells you the talent you're dealing with here. He's 6'4", he's 215 pounds. He's up to 97 miles an hour, comfortably sits 94, 95 miles an hour. He throws a ton of strikes. He's got a very repeatable motion. I would like him actually to use his lower half a little bit more. It's oversimplified for me, but he still generates plenty of velocity, and he's a heck of a left-handed pitching prospect. There's no question about it. And players like him, there aren't very many of them, generally get $3 million coming out of high school. And that wasn't available to him with Cleveland. It was only 1.7. So he's betting on himself to make this happen. I want to be pretty clear because I've gotten some text messages over the course of the last couple of days about Logan Schmidt. I'm not going to put a ceiling on what Logan Schmidt can be. I'm only telling you my expectation, Hunt's expectation. This is not Jay Johnson's expectation. This is not Nate Yeski's expectation. And yours can be whatever you want it to be. This is my expectation. I think he comes in and pitches out of the bullpen as a helpful left-hander on this staff in 2027, I should say. This is not, to me, some plug-and-play weekend guy. Yes, he was a second-round pick, but consider some of the top prospects that have come in to this program on the mound in the Jay Johnson era. Like Cade Anderson, yes, he was coming off of an arm surgery, but he had a 27 ERA in the SEC play as a freshman. William Schmidt was a huge prospect going into his draft after high school. He walked 11 guys in 2 SEC innings as a freshman, was not ready to go out there and pitch. Cam Johnson was a huge left-handed pitching signee that LSU brought in, didn't think he would get to campus. He did. He made 2 college stops and never figured anything out and never became a real factor on an SEC team. So, like, prospect and player are 2 different things. And so I'm not putting a ceiling on Schmidt. I'm not telling you that he can't pitch in the SEC. Kason Evans did just fine as a freshman. The example that I use at times is Alex Lang. Like, he's the unicorn here. Lang came in and went 12-0 with a 1.97 ERA in 2015 for an Omaha team. Like, that's possible, but you don't count on it. Jay Johnson often says that there just aren't a lot of guys that immediately plug and play as freshmen into an SEC rotation. He always mentions Drew Beam, who did it at Tennessee for 3 years. Liam Peterson just finished his 3rd year at Florida and was, ironically, the Guardians' first-round pick this year in front of Logan Schmidt. So I'm not trying to dump cold water on this whole thing. I'm just telling you what I think he is, and he is a helpful left-handed piece. We know that LSU was looking for left-handed pitching. We thought they would get it out of the transfer portal, and they ended up not doing that. But they did restock the shelves through this signing class because you got Lucas Naraki through the draft. He pulled himself out of the draft. That is a wicked left-handed slider that he brings to the team. You got him through the draft. You got Braxton Beatty to pull out of the draft. That's a guy that profiles as a left-handed starting pitcher as he progresses. He was not a huge prospect in this draft because he doesn't throw 97 miles an hour like Schmidt can. He's more of a 91, 92 left-hander, but he's projectable. He's got an easy motion, and you feel like there's more in that tank, and he's got a repeatable motion that you feel like can be a starting pitcher. And then Braden Cupid comes in from West Monroe as well. That's a left-handed arm that you bring in, and you brought back Ethan Plog, Cooper Williams, Danny Lockenmeyer, Jonah Ase. So you've got now 7 or 8 left-handed pitchers on the team, and you need to make sure that you can get 3 of them to be helpful for you. And I think that there's every reason to believe that Schmidt can help. I'm just not telling you, well, he was a second-round pick, bam, Saturday starter. That would surprise me a little bit if that were the case. He's talented enough, but you see what a lot of these freshmen did in LSU's program in their first year. It a lot of times takes some time to get these SEC hitters with metal bats out. Like, Anthony Ianson wasn't what he became at LSU when he started things in San Diego. Gage Jump needed a year of seasoning, then he got hurt at UCLA. Paul Skeens was nowhere near what he became early in his career at Air Force. There's a difference between an 18-year-old, which, look, Logan Schmidt is going to play all of next season as an 18-year-old. He just turned 18 the Thursday before the draft. So he's going to play as an 18. There's a difference between an 18-year-old and a 21, 22-year-old that's been in college weightlifting programs, that's been working with college pitching coaches, that's got college innings under his belt. Like, it's just a different deal. So this is a huge get for LSU as far as the program goes. I think it's an ideal landing spot for Schmidt because they're not going to force him to go out there and take the mantle. If he runs with it like Kason Evans did 2 years ago, great. Plug him into the back end of the bullpen and let him go. If he needs a year of seasoning like a lot of these guys did, you can get that because you've got William Schmidt back and you've got Kason Evans back and you've got Cooper Moore back and you brought in Landon Hood and you've got some guys returning that have pitched some big innings. Yes, you need everybody to elevate their level of play. LSU's pitching staff last year was not good enough, and you're going to have to use some of the new guys, and the old guys are going to have to pitch better than they did, and Jay Johnson's talked about that at length in the offseason, especially around the drafts. But I think there are a lot of people that just see the second-round pick, see the 97 on the gun. This has become a big story because guys that get picked in the first 10 rounds generally don't end up in college. 98+% of them sign. So it's immediately the deal where everybody goes, oh, is he a Friday night starter? He's not. I would bet my house he won't start the season opener. That's just not the way Jay Johnson's going to operate this thing. The way that I think it will work is he will be eased in some low leverage spots early on in next baseball season, and if he performs, you go to the high leverage. That's just Kason Evans threw one low leverage outing, his first one at LSU, and the rest of the time he was used in big time spots the rest of the season, and he delivered. That could be a very, very realistic path for Logan Schmidt, but this is a huge win for Jay Johnson. He spearheaded this thing, and he knew that he could get this done. It was not easy, and it was a different kind of sales pitch because you had to change the way a young person thinks about his path in baseball. but Jay Johnson got that done. I was dead wrong on this last week when I told you I thought he would sign with a junior college and take another bite at this apple next summer. I was dead wrong. I was right about the fact that I said any bet against Jay Johnson on the roster building front is a bad bet. I made a bad bet. You get burned on it. But it's a big, big deal for LSU. I now like where LSU sits from a left-handed perspective because I think Noraki and Logan Schmidt have a chance to be impact guys immediately, and I do believe Ethan Plog has more in the tank that he can give. He can be better than he was this past year. And then with Lockenmeyer and Cooper Williams, you got a relatively high floor on those two guys. The ceiling's not through the roof because they're just not hard throwers, but they are left-handed. They do spin breaking balls pretty well, and they have pitched at this level now. They've got to be a lot better than they were this past year, but if they're not, you do have reinforcements with the young guys, and I think Noraki and Schmidt absolutely project into this bullpen. And if Schmidt wrestles his way into that starting rotation as the lone lefty, I think that's awesome because, as I told you previously, between Case and Evans, William Schmidt, Cooper Moore, you've got a lot of guys between 6'1" and 6'3" who are right-handed who throw 93 to 95 miles an hour. Like they're kind of similar profiles. They're different pitchers on the whole, but they're similar in the way that they approach things. And a left-handed wrinkle wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But I'm not putting that kind of expectation on him. We'll see what he does in the fall. We will see what he does in the fall, and then you'll get a chance to look at him in the spring as well. But big news for LSU baseball. Logan Schmidt decides he turned down the second-round pick of the Guardians and then turned down junior college to come here for 3 years in LSU's program where he could be a really, really good one if it all works out. So great news for Jay Johnson as they'll push forward into the school year. Great news that I'll talk about later on in the show that LSU 3 exhibitions, 2 will be here at the box on big football weekends, and 1 against a team that played in the College World Series in June. Troy will be here, so we'll talk about that later on in the show. That's our opening drive here on this Monday. We're brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. When we come back, let's talk some Saints. Surprise retirement. What does it mean for the Saints at wide receiver? We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. We live in a digital world, right? Everybody starts their processes online, and you can do that at FabryChevrolet.com. The website is so user-friendly. If you know what you're looking for, you can really filter things down and weed out what you're not looking at. You can filter by price, filter by mileage, new vehicles, pre-owned vehicles, make and model if you know exactly what you're looking for. All of it is right there at the click of a button at FabryChevrolet.com. Once you hone in on what you're looking for, you want to take a test drive, get up Highway 61 to St. Francisville and see for yourself that great customer service that the Faby family has given Baton Rouge for 35-plus years. It's Faby Chevrolet GMC on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. You can also find them online. The entire inventory is right there at FabryChevrolet.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product's always customer satisfaction. Come visit us at reliefwindows.com. By the way, we do shutters too.
Hi, this is Beth Tarina. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit LouisianaPropane.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
After a decade of working in private duty nursing, I know how hard it can be to find compassionate care for the ones that you love the most. So I started Decision Critical, a premier concierge nursing agency, so we can take care of you wherever you are. Our highly skilled nurses provide exceptional care from the comfort of your own home with personalized packages.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding health care forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning, remodeling bathrooms and closets. I'm going to get that remodel done before Christmas. Back to school time. Might be time to make that call. It sounds crazy when it's 105 degrees outside for me to start talking about Christmas, but if you are having family members come in for Christmas and you've got a bathroom that you never use or that doesn't work properly but it's going to need to at that time, don't wait until Thanksgiving to make that phone call. Might have a construction zone in your house when people come over. Make the call now. Just get it over with, get it done, give yourself the peace of mind to know that when you have that big family gathering coming up later this year, that bathroom is functional and ready to go. If you want to just do a remodel to freshen things up, David Duvall is happy to do that. Go to the website, OneBathAndClosets.com. You can see pictures of their great work. It is beautiful, it is functional, it's customized. And they do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. So if you want to do a bathroom renovation, there's only one call you need to make. It's One Bath and Closets. They're online at OneBathAndClosets.com. All right, interesting news over the weekend. I certainly did not see this coming, and I don't know that anybody did. Well, some people probably did, but nobody outside the media did. That you had a retirement off the Saints wide receiver core just a week into camp. Jalen Polk, who LSU, who the Saints dealt for last year, was a former second-round pick of New England, decided to hang it up, and that's just an odd time to get that done. The Saints hadn't even put pads on, and Polk decided that his time with football was over. Kellen Moore, Saints head coach, was asked about it today and said why it was time for Jalen Polk to step aside.
I'll let him kind of handle that, but again, it was a personal decision, and Jalen had a great OTAs, great start to camp, and I think he just felt like this was the best decision for him on a personal level, and so love that guy. He did an awesome job through the entire process here, the year plus that we had him, and so we'll continue to support him and love him.
So what does this matter to the Saints roster? Well, one, it opens up a roster spot. Jalen Polk was going to be on this team, and he was going to be one of the top 5 options, maybe top 4 options at wide receiver, and he's now out of the equation. So you look around, and yes, Chris Olave's at the top of the food chain right now, and yes, Jordan Tyson's right there behind him. And then you've got Devon Bailey, who had a nice end of the season last year before he got hurt. Gives you some physical size and a presence there, big body receiver. Then you've got Bryce Lance and Barryon Brown, who they brought in the draft this year. Lance is such a big play threat and is such a talent with that size and that speed. And Barryon Brown made a big play today, sounds like, at Saints camp and gives you a return game element to the wide receiver position. He's going to make this team as well. That's your 5 right there. It's Olave, Tyson, Lance, Brown, Vele. That's your top 5. Do the Saints keep a 6 wide receiver? Potentially. And you've got some options there. Now, Mason Tipton's hurt. We know he balls out every August, but he's hurt right now. You got former LSU Tiger, Kentwood native Trey Palmer, who brings a lot of speed and has played some NFL football in his day. You got Ronnie Bell, who's famously the guy that I had never heard of when he caught a touchdown pass in December of last year. And then you got Bub Means, who seems like he's been around forever when he really hasn't been around forever, just a year. But those are guys that are now in a position, if they can turn some heads, to make this team or certainly hang around on the practice squad. And there's a spot opened up for them. I was excited to see what Jalen Polk could give the Saints. You're not talking about a guy they found on the street here. This is a former second-round pick who was a really productive player at Washington, playing with Michael Penix and Rome Odunze, and he was a really talented guy, and then he got hurt and didn't play last year, but the Saints still valued him enough to go get him, and I actually kind of liked the move to potentially buy low on a guy that was out, but he, for some reason, doesn't feel like he wants to participate. We'll let him speak to why that is, but I think it is a little bit of a blow to the team, but at the same time, an opportunity for those guys to step up. There's so little known about this Saints wide receiving core because Olave has been hurt, and Jordan Tyson is a rookie that has also been hurt, and Devon Vele got hurt, and Bryce Lance comes from the FCS, and Barryon Brown is just a rookie who was really more of a return specialist and played on really bad offenses his entire time at Kentucky. There is, and at LSU, quite frankly, and there's talent there, but there's not a lot of stability, and you're trying to usher that in around a young quarterback who's trying to get reps with guys, and certainly, as Kellen Moore talked about, like you've seen Jalen Polk out there in OTAs, you've seen him in minicamp, you've seen him out there early in camp, and that's a guy that they've spent some time on that is now out of the equation. So I don't think anybody is going to point at the Saints wide receiver group and call it, one of the top 5 in the league, but you need it to be a lot better than it was at the end of last year. I think they've done a great job to address it, and thankfully you did go draft 2 wide receivers. I don't think they could have seen this coming, but it's a good thing they did that. You don't double up on a position often in the late rounds, but the Saints felt like they had to do that, and hopefully you've got hits there. And if Tyson's hit on the front end of the draft, and obviously what you get in Barryon Brown and Bryce Lance is huge. So it's a surprising thing. The Saints have seen these early camp retirements. Tyrann Mathieu certainly fits in that box, and I guess it's just one of those deals. Like Hester's talked about this in our halls. Like some days eventually you just get up and you go, I just don't want to do this anymore. And maybe that is what happened to Jalen Polk, and maybe it's not. Maybe they're extenuating circumstance. Kellen Moore certainly didn't elaborate, but it's a little bit jarring to those who weren't in the know to see this. So it's not a loaded Saints wide receiver group, and it got a little thinner there, but it is an opportunity, and I think there's a chance for Trey Palmer to make this team. I think he's got to compete. He has a similar profile to Barryon Brown, where they're speed guys that have return history and can be big play threats. That's an opportunity for him. Mason Tipton has got to get back on the field, and he may be able to make this practice squad because the Saints clearly have valued him for a couple of years now. And Ronnie Bell, I think, is maybe the last guy in or out. But it's a team, it's a wide receiver group that I think is exciting but unproven, and there's a concern there. And I think that Polk was one of those big talents that you now don't have access to. So Olave's out on the field. That's a good thing. We'll see what these young guys can do. I think it was a big day for Barryon Brown, and we'll hear about that a little bit later on in the show. We'll talk a little bit more with Saints with some of their sound. But look, Jalen Polk stepping away from football. I mean, I looked up his age. It's he's only 24 years old. So yeah, it's just it's an odd circumstance, but I feel like somebody the Saints were counting on, and you no longer have access to that. Jordan, were you surprised to see this news?
Very surprised, but at the same time, man, it's hot out there, man. It's hot in New Orleans around this time of year. So when you out there and you're looking at the depth chart, you seeing Bryce Lance making plays, you see Barryon Brown making plays. Them walls start closing in. Hopefully it's nothing, mental-wise or whatever Jalen Polk is going through. But, the Saints did give up an asset to get this guy. So they expected him to make the team and be, useful this season. So you're right. It definitely opens the door up. So Barryon Brown had a good day today. So it's opening the door for one of these guys to really, that you thought were, maybe might be a special teams type of, maybe return kicks and punts. But now there's actually might be a room for you, a spot for you to hit the field immediately and hit the ground running. So right now you're looking for that spot is just up for grabs.
It's the funny thing about camp is that once you get into like October, everybody's pulling on the same rope. In August, you're fighting with your teammates.
Yeah.
That's the odd dynamic that's in it. It's certainly not new or unique. It just is what this month brings in the National Football League. But at the same time, you've got to be bummed to see a guy step away. And then you look at it and go, oh, well, this could be my shot. It's like when you're in the minor leagues in baseball and like you see somebody hit the injured list, like, well, Somebody's got to come up.
Like that's a guy.
You don't want to pull for guys to get hurt or step away from the game, but it opens the door. There's no question. And it's fortunate that the Saints spent 3 draft picks on wide receivers this year.
Mickey Loomis. I know Hunt. I know. I'm coming out and saying
unless
this.
he knew this was a possibility, we can't give him credit.
But I'm gonna just give him credit for covering his bases and actually, you know what, investing in the receiver position. How many years we've been crying and calling for Marquez Callaway out there, Traquan Smith, these guys.
Smith.
You know, all these random guys.
Ronnie Bell. My boy Kevin Austin still out there. You know, hopefully. It's burned in my brain driving home from church last year and hearing Mike Haas go touchdown Ronnie Bell. And
baby.
I'm in the car and the 2 kids are there and my wife's there. I go, I've never heard of this person.
Just pulled him up this week.
That is. You could have told me he played for the other team. I would have believed it. Never heard of him. That's where Shuck was last year when he was winning games with such a motley crew. So. Interesting news out of New Orleans. We'll talk a little bit more about it later on in the show. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. They're online at guaranteehealth.com. That's guaranteehealth.com. Look, if you are in the healthcare space and you have not worked with Guarantee Health Solutions, I would strongly recommend making a phone call to Rachel Fricke and her team. They have done incredible things in the healthcare space. Like, you're talking about an organization that helped one healthcare provider take its net promoter score from 65 to 90 in just 3 months. They've got partnerships in 12 states. They've got more than 24, and they can help you with your website, with your digital marketing, with your patient experience. Rachel comes from a hospitality background, and I think all too often healthcare organizations may not think of themselves in the hospitality space. It's just treating patients. But you want to make sure that your website's functional. You want to make sure that your brand is strong. You want to make sure that the experience that a patient has is a positive one and that they come back and rely on you for their health care. And if you haven't taken that seriously or looked into that deeply, Guarantee Health Solutions can help you with that. They're online at guaranteehealth.com. That's guaranteehealth.com. They are moving healthcare forward. We're going to talk to Michael Katz. He covers Ole Miss. He wrote a great story over the weekend about this lawsuit between Ole Miss, Devin Harper, and Prince William Miellen. Ole Miss released a statement saying that they reached out for payment from the 2 players in January. Then after the 30-day window was up, they reached out to LSU, said we're not a party to this, and backed up. And there's a discrepancy between LSU and Ole Miss that may end up in a court of law. It may take some time, but it may end up in a court of law. What Michael is reporting is that LSU feels that, or the players feel like there's an exorbitant fee tacked on here. And that's what I was careful last week when I took the side of Ole Miss and I said that LSU's players or LSU should pay up. I was careful to say in the middle of that, and I wrote it in my column as well, like, I want to be clear, I haven't seen the contract. I'm just assuming, and I'm happy to revisit the conversation if something else comes out, but I'm just assuming that the contract that was signed says if you don't play for Ole Miss next year and you enter the transfer portal, you owe this. That's my assumption. If there is some loophole or Ole Miss's attorneys did a poor job or LSU sees an out to this, then I'll reevaluate my stance on the situation. Well, Michael dug into this, and so I wanted to talk to him, reached out to him via text yesterday, and he said he'd be happy to come on. So we're going to go up to Oxford, Mississippi, and see what the latest is. And look, because here's the deal for LSU. If you're an LSU fan, you're going, why should I care about this? Why do I care if they pay the money or not? Well, if LSU does end up paying this, not the players, it will come out of LSU's revenue sharing budget, which for the first year was $21 million, and it's going to go up. But you would lose like $950,000 out of your revenue sharing pie, which is a pretty big deal. So I'm curious what Michael uncovered with the people that he spoke to. He talked to people at Ole Miss. He talked to people in the legal field. I'm just curious as to what can come of this. And Michael did a good job reporting on it. So we'll talk to him when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
GoTro's Outdoor Power. GoTrosOnline.com. Need that zero-turn mower? There's only one place to go. Well, there's actually 2 because there's 2 locations. Got one on Airline Highway in Baton Rouge, and you got one that is in Gonzales. It's GoTro's Outdoor Power. Largest Hustler inventory in the state of Louisiana. National Hustler Dealer of the Year 2 of the last 3 years. They've got a great extended warranty over at GoTro's as well. And GoTro's is the warranty, so you can add 2 years or 200 hours to the manufacturer warranty if you want to go that route at GoTro's Outdoor Power. They got huge inventory. You got a new property or you've got equipment that's failing you, go to GoTro's and get you that new Hustler. Fantastic inventory, fantastic people, 22 years in business, 2 locations, Airline Highway in Baton Rouge and in Gonzales. It's GoTro's Outdoor Power.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office protects and serves over 132,000 residents across the parish.
Keeping our community safe is our mission, and Rev Fiber plays a critical role in how we respond. Whether it's training in our special divisions, forensics investigations, or fielding emergency calls in our operations center, Rev Business connects our teams in real time, which is why we partner with Rev Business.
Get 6 months free of Rev Business services. Call or click today.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient, and the savings are even greater with a tankless propane water heater. We all know that Louisiana propane is a safe and environmentally friendly fuel. So why not go green while you save some green? I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and for more information, visit louisianapropane.com.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs. Set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online or text or call for free confidential help now.
The experts at Hood Dental Care want you smiling bigger and healthier than ever. New patients can get a healthy gums cleaning for just $89, plus a free exam and full mouth x-rays. A $376 value. With over 3,000 five-star Google reviews, 5 local locations, and easy online scheduling with same-day care. Hood Dental makes it simple to get started. And we always have other great giveaways for new patients. Check out hooddentalcare.com and schedule your appointment today.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6th generation.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding health care forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Chugging along here on a Monday, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Covered some Saints, covered some LSU baseball. Now let's turn to the courtroom. That's where LSU and Ole Miss may be headed. What else is new between these two programs? Michael Katz covers Ole Miss for the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal and good enough to give us a little bit of time here on this Monday. Michael, thanks for the time. How are you?
Good. Just another day of waiting to see what happens next between both of them.
It's just an incessant back and forth that is going to lead all the way into September. You went digging into the legal side of this contract between Prince William Unmielen, Devin Harper, and Ole Miss, which was, of course, broken, and those two hit the transfer portal and ended up in Baton Rouge. We read the statement from Ole Miss last week about the players being contacted, refusing to pay. LSU was contacted, refused to pay, and now we've got a lawsuit on our hands. So you went digging. What were you looking for?
I think for me, when I hear just as an outsider, a contract was broken, like it sounds pretty straightforward, right? I don't know what the conversation was or why, what the holdup was, and then you realize that there's experts in other fields for reasons, and I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to talk to some college sports attorneys and see what this is really all about. And it was really fascinating because, yes, there's a contract signed. That is, there's no denial of that. But what is up potentially for debate is damages at stake here, and that's the buyout here. So $550,000 for Princeville, $400, I believe it was, for Devin Harper. And again, you think a buyout's pretty straightforward, but it was not. And so the question sort of comes up of, I think the big thing at stake here is the elephant in the room is that this isn't technically pay for play, these contracts. They are technically part of NIL and rev share and all that sort of stuff. You're not supposed to have employment contracts. So the argument is, if you're LSU, is Ole Miss really losing $550,000 in damages by not having Princeville Umanmiele's rights to market? And that's a really interesting question, because if this was simply, is he worth that much money to the team on the field, that's a no-brainer. Ole Miss is winning that one 100%. But if this does go to trial, is it a situation where, Ole Miss, you're kind of overshooting the marketing side of things, of how much he's worth to your program? So it's really interesting. It was a lot more multifaceted than I thought it was going to be.
So let me see if I'm on the right track here. As far as you know, this is not a deal where Ole Miss is arguing that he's worth this on the field. We have X amount of dollars to spend. He's worth the $550,000. This is in terms of marketing dollars. Is that what they're going to have to argue because it can't be pay for play?
Well, so that's the thing, is that everybody knows that
right.
This is pay for play. No one is signing this thinking otherwise. But the NCAA, you can't technically do that. And so when it comes to, hypothetically, a court of law, you are going to have to argue either that, we think that their rights are worth that much, or you say, hey, listen, I know the NCAA says this isn't pay for play, but everyone in this room knows what it is. Let's call a spade a spade. So, and that might be the route. I'm talking to the attorneys that I talked to, that Ole Miss takes and says, hey, listen, we're just going to get out in front of this. We all know what this is. Let's take it for what it is. It can't be an employment contract, but let's be honest, these are employment contracts. Just no one wants to call student athletes employees, because that creates a whole other set of problems. So it's really interesting with the language and what is allowed with the NCAA, what we know these contracts really are, and what they technically are two very different things.
Have you seen the contracts?
I've not seen the contracts. I have seen the official lawsuits that mention the contracts.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to get those sorts of situations out of them.
Right. Are those number figures in the contract? And do you believe that when Princeville Umanmiele and Devin Harper jumped in the transfer portal, they knew that they were on the hook for that potentially?
I mean, again, it's without actually seeing what they signed in early January, whatever it was. But it does, at least in the suit, and obviously Ole Miss released a statement, and then I had to go look up to see what the lawsuits actually say. But the lawsuits at least intimate that it was very clear that if you are signing this, and if you leave, here are the consequences of breaking the agreement before the term ends. So now, I don't know if LSU told them that they were going to pay that. I don't know those sorts of things. And that's another really interesting part of this, is that LSU has said, this isn't our contract. This isn't our deal. Which is, this is not a lawsuit against LSU. This is a lawsuit against the players.
Right.
So a lot of really interesting things that could potentially happen here if this doesn't get settled.
Do you think this is a tough, because you're now judging intent from Ole Miss? Do you think this has anything to do with LSU? They would not be pursuing this as aggressively if it were an LSU, say that they transferred to, I was going to pull Louisville out of it. They play Louisville to start. Georgia Tech?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it helps the situation. Obviously, there's a lot of emotion right now between these two. But I think more than anything, it's the monetary value.
Yeah.
That's a good chunk of change, and $550,000, maybe in the grand scheme of college athletics doesn't seem like that much, but when you're dealing with rev share and you only have so much, you're 20.5 or whatever it is, that's a good chunk of change, almost $1 million for both players combined. So, I don't know if they would have made it as public. I think part of it is that they never heard a response, and that probably ticked them off, especially given, who's in charge over there. Were they told not to respond? Who knows how this whole thing went down. I'm sure that both players got, the messages that they were, looking for the money. I don't know who told them not to talk or what to do about it, but I think there's a lot of emotion between these two, but I think with how much money it was, this is like a $50,000 buyout. I don't know if they're going quite as hard, but I think just on principle and the amount of money, I think Ole Miss is going after this one pretty hard.
Michael Katz is our guest, covers Ole Miss for Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal, talking about the lawsuit between Ole Miss, Devin Harper, Principal Iman Mielen. I don't know exactly how Ole Miss has allotted its revenue sharing per sport. I know that LSU in year one was just under $16 million for the football team, so I would imagine Ole Miss is in that similar space. My question is, these dollar amounts, was that the amount that they were going to receive in revenue sharing, or are these just the amounts that they settled on for damages should the contracts be broken?
That is a very good question, because that is not explicitly stated.
Okay.
And all of that is said in the suit is what the damages, what the buyout is. And again, without being privy to the contracts, it's hard to. Those are very hard to get a hold of. College programs are trying really hard not to let people see what certain guys are getting because you don't want to create situations in the locker room, all those sorts of things. But yeah, no, it would be easy to say, oh, well, he was making $550,000 at Ole Miss. I don't know if that's necessarily true. It could have been more. I think there's a good chance it was probably more. But that's for what we know. Those numbers, the total of $950,000 between the two, was what they are claiming the buyouts were. So basically, the damages.
And with the legal folks that you spoke with, what's the sense on a timeline for this potentially, and what do you feel like the likely result is of these lawsuits?
Yeah, I'll start with the latter. Both agreed that this is probably something that gets settled. If nothing else, you just never know what's going to happen in a trial, and especially if discovery and something comes out, it could just make things like way worse and way murkier, and it's going to drag on. And it costs a lot of money, obviously, to take things into court. That being said, you do never know, and these are both. Both sides are pretty stubborn on this situation, but as far as the timeline's concerned, even if it's settled, it might not be till the end of the season, like a few months. Principal Iman Mielen might already be headed to the NFL draft or whatever, right? Like he might not even be playing at LSU anymore when this whole thing gets settled, depending on what he, decides to do. So this is, I don't imagine this is settled before the season starts. But I do think that it'll, at least who I've talked to, it'll get settled. It'll probably, one guy said, kind of somewhere in the middle between, of the buyouts and what was asked for. Maybe like $500,000 total, something like that between the two players. Just get something out of it and move on. But you never know. We'll see.
We certainly will. Hopefully there's more football to talk about instead of lawsuits next time we speak.
Please.
Have a great week, Michael. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate you.
He's Michael Katz of the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal. Look, I'm not an attorney, and I'm certainly not a ruthless negotiator. Without seeing the contracts, it's hard to have a hardline opinion on this. It is evident to me that LSU and these two players are willing to play chicken as long as Ole Miss wants to do it. If Ole Miss wants to dump money into legal fees and chase this for months down at a court and see what they can get, LSU is probably content to sit back and say, do whatever you got to do. We're not paying attention. We're going to go play football. And whatever. I said last week that I think if you sign a deal and those are the terms of the deal, it should be pretty black and white. But clearly there's a legal team in Baton Rouge that doesn't feel that way. So they're a lot smarter than me, and they've seen the stuff. So I I'm interested in this only as far as how much money LSU is taking out of its revenue sharing to send back to Ole Miss, if that does happen, because every dollar and cent is important. And that's why I think part of the reason why Ole Miss is chasing this the way that they are. You can say that there's part of it that's due to spite for Lane Kiffin, but I also think there could be some of that. I'm not going to rule that out, but there's also a deal where if we can't keep people here with binding contracts, like that's a pretty rough precedent to set when we're trying to retain players. Like this is one way that you thought you could keep people around, is to sign them to agreements and put significant buyouts on them, like you do in every other hire. But that doesn't appear to be the case. You sign guys to revenue sharing agreements, they're in the portal 48 hours later, and they leave and they don't pay you. That's a tough scene, tough way to keep a thing together. But that's where it is. Appreciate Michael for some time, and appreciate him for chasing all that down and putting a good story together over the weekend up there at the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal. We'll come back. Are the Dodgers ruining sports? I got my thoughts next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Well, I'm telling you about the Highland Insurance Group, online at HighlandIG.com. HighlandIG.com. Jonathan Carbo and his team, just first class to work with, especially when it comes to the benefits side of things. They've shifted some of their focus to the benefits game, and it's because they feel like there's a lot of people in South Louisiana who are really up against it when it comes to paying for healthcare, dental, vision for their employees. Like it's expensive. It becomes prohibitive, and if you don't have great benefits, you may not get great people to join your organization. That's a tough thing to deal with. I can't promise you the Highland Insurance Group is going to be a silver bullet. Like I can't promise you they're going to come in and save you 13% right off the top. But they can provide another option. If you've had a bad renewal, or you've got a renewal that you're dreading coming up, and you want a second set of eyes and you want a second opinion, the Highland Insurance Group can do that. Call Jonathan Carbo and his team and see if they can't be a game changer for you on the benefits front. They're an independent broker. They've got contracts with different carriers. They may be able to save your business money while providing great benefits. That's what the Highland Insurance Group aims to do. So call Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Highland Insurance Group, or check them out online at HighlandIG.com.
Every Raising Cane's chicken finger is marinated, battered by hand, and cooked to order to perfection. We don't have heat lamps, because when you make it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. No, the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Sometimes you ignore the signs, even when they're right in front of you. Problem gambling isn't always easy to spot. Know the signs, set your limit. Learn more about healthy gambling habits by visiting us online, or text or call for free, confidential help now.
Supreme Jasmine is premium American-grown rice. From local farms to your table, every grain is supreme. Pick up a bag of Jasmine or any other of our Supreme American rice.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Every day, our show brought to you by First American Bank and Trust. They're online at FABT.com, FABT.com. But don't go online. Just go in. There's 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. They've been at this 116 years, y'all. Community local bank. Every decision made at First American Bank and Trust is made locally here in Southeast Louisiana. When you pick up the phone and call First American Bank and Trust, you're getting someone in Southeast Louisiana, not a call center in San Francisco, not a call center in Chicago. They may not get back to you. You're dealing with somebody who's part of your community. Whether you're down the bayou, you're up I-12, you're over in Metairie, just outside Baton Rouge, there's a local First American Bank and Trust branch near you in Southeast Louisiana. So if you're looking for a commercial loan, if you're looking for a personal loan, make it First American Bank and Trust. They're online at FABT.com. Dodgers traded for Tarek Skubal, which I was not heartbroken to see because I didn't want him to go to the Brewers. But a lot of people were up in arms. A lot of people were yelling about collusion. And I understand, like, the Dodgers are laughable at this point. Like, you're looking at a rotation that is the top has Tarek Skubal, who's won 2 Cy Youngs. You've got Yoshinori Yamamoto, who was the World Series MVP last year, as your number 2. Blake Snell is your number 3. He's got 3 Cy Youngs. You got Shohei Ohtani maybe as your number 4 when he gets back, if he gets back healthy. But he's not there right now, but doesn't really matter because you've still got Tyler Glasnow as your number 5, who was the Rays ace like 5 minutes ago and is 6'5" and throws 97 miles an hour. And just for good measure, because, why not just have an embarrassment of riches, their number 6 starter is Justin Wrobleski, who was an all-star this year, made the all-star team. Left-handed, throws hard. Their 6th starter was on the all-star team. It's the greatest rotation I've ever seen in my life. And, oh, by the way, in the lineup, they got Mookie Betts, who's won an MVP, and Shohei Ohtani, who's won an MVP, multiple, and Freddie Freeman, who's won an MVP. And they're going to Hall of Fame, all those guys. And so it's crazy. And there are a lot of folks that think that this is a point being made by the owners to try to win and get that salary cap put in place. I choose not to believe in conspiracy theories most of the time. And I just don't want to believe that the Tigers are punting on their major league roster and intentionally acquiring substandard prospects for their best asset because they want to prove a point. I understand what you're saying, but I don't want to believe that. So I won't believe that. So I don't blame the Dodgers at all. I realize it makes the Cubs' path to try to win a World Series really, really difficult because the Dodgers are that good. But let's just be honest. Like, the Padres had them on the ropes 2 years ago in a decisive game. The Blue Jays should have won the World Series last year. If they could run the bases, they would have won the World Series in Game 7, but they screwed up running the bases. And look, Milwaukee wins 100 games every year. They have no budget. Tampa is leading the East. They have no budget. So, yes, I agree that what the Dodgers are doing is not healthy for competition. They've won 2 World Series in a row, but they were in really competitive playoff series. So it's not like they're just running roughshod over the league. They're ultimately getting it done, but they're not just running roughshod over the league. I'm torn on this because what's best for the competitive equity of the game is for a salary cap and a salary floor to be put in. And that the A's and the Rays and the Royals and the Brewers have to keep up. You have to keep spending money. And we'll put a cap on this. What the Dodgers are doing is not necessarily sustainable because you're not going to have a lot of players defer hundreds of millions of dollars like Ohtani does. And, oh, by the way, he plays 2 positions for them. He hits leadoff and he pitches. So that whole deal is a little bit out of whack. There are no other Shohei Ohtanis that skew things that drastically financially and on the field. And so once his time is over, it kind of equalizes to an extent. But all I know is it's heartbreaking to me that we're going to get into summer next year and they're not going to be playing baseball. And I don't know who's going to blink. The owners think this is their best opportunity ever to get this done. And they're going to have a lot of support from the small markets to try to get it done. And I don't know if the players are are in a position to punt 3 or 4 months with no checks. Bryce Harper will be fine, and he's one of the loudest guys chanting. But like the fans don't care if the player signs for $280 million or $165 million. That's all the same to us. We just don't care. So it's hard for the players to get support on this, and it feels like a lot of folks are going to side with the ownership. I don't blame the Dodgers for it. I'm glad that they're pursuing it the way that they do. And the Cubs benefit from this. They got more money than most of the teams in Major League Baseball. And of course, that's where my loyalty sits. I don't suggest that the Dodgers have ruined baseball. And I want the Cubs to go make a move and get better and beat the Dodgers in October. That's kind of my attitude about it all. I don't want to sit here and cry unfair. But I understand. Like, it's tough. It's tough to compete with a team that does things the way that the Dodgers have done them. And I don't – it's as good a rotation as I've ever seen. And the lineup's not so bad either. So we'll see. Sounds like based on my text message, the Cubs just made a really good move. So I'm going to go do some Twitter refreshing. You can check out our show on demand wherever you find your sound if you missed hour number 1. We got a lot to get to in hour number 2, some LSU football, as well as some Saints sound. So pause for Sports Center. Come back with us. Hour 2 of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Online at FabryChevrolet.com. That's FabryChevrolet.com. The Fabry family's been at this 35 years, y'all. 35 years here in Baton Rouge. Why? Because of their customer service. They treat people the right way. You've known them. 3 locations, 5 brands, and this is their newest on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. It's a Chevrolet. It's a GMC. So if you're looking for a Chevy Tahoe, maybe a Chevy Suburban, you can find them there, new or pre-owned. You're looking for a truck, they've got Chevy Silverados. They've also got your GMC Sierras. Maybe an SUV for you. School's starting up. Got to get the kids loaded up for school every morning. Got a Yukon, Denali. They got those right there on the lot from the GMC side. If you want to see the entire inventory, you can do that at FabryChevrolet.com. Sort by whatever it is you're looking for, make and model, price, mileage, whatever it is you're looking for, they've got it there at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Go by and see them. Highway 61 in St. Francisville, and of course online right there at FabryChevrolet.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient. And you will have your pool in no time.
Raising Cane's chicken finger is marinated, battered by hand, and cooked to order to perfection. We don't have heat lamps, because when you make it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Nick DeLuca. Deadline day in Major League Baseball. Flurry of activity ahead of the 6 Eastern deadline. The Red Sox land the top catcher on the market, agreeing to a deal with the Orioles for Adley Rutschman, 3-time All-Star, batting .251 with 8 home runs, 47 RBIs, and a .764 OPS in 67 games this season. He is under team control through 2027. Boston 23-3 over their last 26. The Padres acquired lefty Robbie Ray from the Giants. Ray has been one of the best pitchers in the majors since June, has a 3.08 ERA and 107 strikeouts this year. San Diego starters own a 4.66 ERA this season, 4th highest in the majors. The Phillies are acquiring 3-time batting champion and 4-time All-Star Luis Arraez, also from the Giants. Arraez having his best offensive season since 2023, hitting an NL best .324 with 4 homers and 43 RBIs, set to be a free agent after the season.
Hey, it's Evan Cohen. Coming up Tuesday, the 49ers are dealing with another season-ending injury. I'll tell you if losing another wide receiver will impact Brock Purdy this season. It's on Sportsman, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you starting your work week with us. Hope it's off to a great start. A lot of folks winding down summer. School cranking up at the end of this week for some, next week for some others, later on in the month for others. But appreciate you making us part of your day here on this Monday. We're brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. It's been a very busy trade deadline for former LSU Tigers. Of course, the Cubs nabbed Kevin Gausman yesterday. They'll put him into their rotation. Of course, former Tiger ace right-hander. Anthony Ianson was just moved from the Boston Red Sox to the Orioles organization as part of the Adley Rutschman deal. And Josh Schmidt was traded to Toronto today from the Texas Rangers. So a lot of LSU guys on the move. And I do think that Luis Castillo being traded out of the Mariners rotation potentially could clear a path for Cade Anderson to join that club in some capacity. The Mariners have a lot of starting pitching, and I think they're probably okay right now. They wouldn't have to bring Anderson up, but there's rumors that they could trade Emerson Hancock out of that rotation, and if that does happen, I think Cade Anderson would very likely be next in that organization. He's the number 1 pitching prospect in baseball. He's been phenomenal in Double-A this year in Arkansas, and so hopefully his Major League debut is sometime very, very quickly. So if anything happens, we'll keep you updated as the Major League Baseball trade deadline is this afternoon, I believe 5 o'clock Central Time when that happens. There's a source-off going on in Chicago right now. There's a blogger that says the Cubs got a pitcher, and then the ESPN beat writer says that's actually not true. So interesting. We'll see. I know that none of you care about that, but I'm paying attention very closely. Let's talk about something you probably care a little bit more about, and that was Friday's ruling that the players that just finished their 4th year of college have a 5th year. Essentially what this injunction is saying is, hey, all the COVID players got 5 years, some cases 6 years, and now everybody's going to get 5 years moving forward. Why do the guys that just finished their 4th year of eligibility get boxed out here? And so they got an injunction and allowed them to play. So a lot of folks, especially on the basketball side, are jumping back into eligibility to play 5th year of college basketball. And so what's interesting is that this is now flooding the marketplace, but most teams had their roster complete. One team that does not is LSU. Now, I told y'all 2 weeks ago, it was before we went to SEC Media Days, before I went on vacation, I had a conversation with someone with LSU basketball about the roster. And while I did not get names, I did not communicate names to you, I said there is a confidence at LSU that they've got their ducks in a row. And the reason I know that is because, one, it was communicated to me, and two, because if they didn't have confidence in who the back end of the roster would be, they would have filled it with lesser players, but they would have filled it with bodies. They weren't just going to show up and go, oh, we lost all these international guys at the last hour. We only have 8 players. Will Wade's not going to do that. He's going to make sure every stone is turned over and that they fill out a roster that's as competitive as it can possibly be. And what was told to me, and then I relayed to you, I wrote it at LouisianaSports.net and talked about it on the show, was that there are some players that are potentially going to get a 5th year. And that's going to allow LSU to backfill this roster if there are some international guys that don't get eligible. And oh, by the way, I don't think Jan Madar was going to leave his 7-figure gig overseas to come to LSU for free. Well, now that Jan Madar is staying overseas, he's going to play professional basketball in Europe. There's now money that was earmarked for him that LSU is sitting on in Baton Rouge. And now there's a flood of new players coming into the market, and most teams have their rosters full. So what has happened here is LSU is sitting here with unused funds and roster spots available in the Southeastern Conference as all these 5th-year players reflood the market. Now, the players I'm about to tell you about are not to be seen as targets for LSU. They could be, but I don't know that. I'm only telling you the types of players that got eligibility. These are players that were not drafted in the NBA draft, have not played professionally in the G League, but have another year to play college basketball now. One's Doug McDaniel from Memphis. Again, I'm not telling you that these are guys LSU is recruiting. These are guys that are tied to LSU. These are guys that are going to come to LSU. I'm just telling you, these are examples of the types of players that are coming back into college basketball. Doug McDaniel has started 81 games at Michigan, Kansas State, and Memphis. Last year, he averaged 14 points and almost 5 assists a game at Memphis. He was second in the American Conference in steals with 62. He's an 83% free throw shooter, shot 34% from 3. He's a 5'11 point guard that was a good player for Memphis last year. But it gets better. Like, Mo Odom was a guard at Arizona State last year. He started his career at Pepperdine and Pacific. Then he went to Arizona State. He's a 6'2 guard. He's from the Bronx. He was 4th in the nation in assists at Pepperdine in 24-25. He's played 114 games. Last year at Arizona State, he averaged 16.5 points and 5.5 assists per game. He's a 38% three-point shooter, really good shooter, 83% from three-point line. Like, really good college basketball player. Not an NBA guy, but a really good college basketball player that's now in the market. Mark Mitchell was Missouri's best player. He was an All-SEC as a junior and a senior. He led Missouri in scoring, rebounds, and assists. He's the second Tiger in history at Missouri to lead the team in points, rebounds, and assists. He had 18.5 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists per game. Prior to his time at Missouri, he spent 2 years in Missouri. He started at Duke for 2 years. He's back in the mix collegiately. Donovan Dent was a guard at UCLA last year. He scored 20-plus points 8 times at UCLA. He's a 6'2 combo guard. He averaged 7.6 assists per game. He finished last year at UCLA with 265 assists. That's the second most in a single season in UCLA history. Lonzo Ball's the only one that ever had more at UCLA. He scored 30 on USC. In the Big Ten tournament against Rutgers, he had a triple-double. He's a great offensive player. Assist man, scorer. He's played 130 games at New Mexico and UCLA. He's in the marketplace. Again, I don't know who LSU is pursuing. I don't know how far along those talks are, but LSU saw this coming. Will Wade and his staff saw this coming. They knew there was a really good chance that a lot of these guys were going to get a 5th year. Just a matter of when that was going to happen. And he told John Rothstein on that podcast, yeah, we're light on numbers as far as you know, but just wait till school starts. And we're 2.5 weeks from school starting, and now this happens. And that injunction gets filed, and there were 40 guys in the transfer portal Saturday and Sunday. And I am comfortable suggesting LSU is going to land a couple of these guys that are really productive players. Comfortable suggesting that. This is Will Wade's thing. And look, Jeff Goodman was ticked off, said, oh, now these guys that failed to put their roster together get a second chance. Well, or you just saw it coming. I told y'all there was some confidence coming out of LSU as far as putting a roster together. And Friday into Saturday, that confidence, I think, paid off. So, again, I don't know who they're going to get. They need a point guard badly. You'll always take bigs. And we'll see what happens with the eligibility of some of these European players. Marcio Santos, Bryce Dessert, Saliu Niang. I think Michael Ruzic's going to get cleared, but like you're not really sure. I'm not, at least. But they have the opportunity now to backfill this. So, and now my concern level that LSU will not fill a roster is 0. It's 0. Because there are way too many guys that just jumped in the portal, and LSU's got money and roster spots. And a lot of teams don't have either. They've spent their money, and they don't have any room on the roster. So you become a very attractive place financially and in terms of playing time, and there are a lot of really good players that just jumped in. I would take any of the guys I just told you. UCLA assist man who scored 30 points and had a triple-double. Missouri's best player who scored 18.5 a game in the SEC is started at Duke. Mo Odom, who just played 114 games, scored 16.5 points per game in the Big 12 last year. Doug McDaniel, who's Memphis' point guard, who was second in the AAC in steals. Yeah, I'll take any of those guys. And Will Wade saw this coming. And so I would suggest over the course of this week that you'll see some guys commit to LSU. I think this week you will see guys at LSU. I think the count on campus 3 weeks ago was 7 guys on campus. That doesn't mean that's all that they had rostered. Just that's how many guys were on campus. And RJ Lewis is here. We'll see if he gets eligible or not. But there now are reinforcements that are available to LSU, and LSU's in a great spot to go get them. So I'm fired up for basketball. Very excited for LSU basketball this year. We got a long way to go to get there, and certainly a big football season ahead of us that we're locked in on right now. But LSU basketball, I think, is going to put a pretty good product out there next year. So that's exciting stuff for Will Wade. If you want to read about some of this stuff, I wrote a story on Saturday morning at LouisianaSports.net. You can go check that out. Again, always for free right there. Ross's practice report from Saints camp earlier today. It's going to be up there this afternoon. In fact, it might just be. Let's see. Not quite. But, yeah. So you can all check that out at LouisianaSports.net. When we come back, we'll hear some sound from Saints camps next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com. Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge on Segan at Perkins. Awesome place to work on your game. It's a tough time to work on your game right now because it's so hot. You don't want to go out there for 45 minutes and hit golf balls, just be soaking wet. It's really warm out there. So practice inside. It's Swing Easy on the simulator. It's great technology. Great technology. You can see the trajectory of your shots. You can see your club head speed. You can see your ball speed. You can see your spin rate. You can see your carry distance. And you can also take a look at the impact of your club on the golf ball slow motion, which is a really impactful thing for me. Whether you're a scratch player or you're a beginner, it doesn't matter. It's a great place to work on your game. You can do it in private. You can do it climate controlled. You can do it right there with a cold drink right next to you that they got up front there at Swing Easy Golf Club. They're on Segan at Perkins at SwingEasyGCBR.com.
Ever wonder why cane sauce doesn't come in a pre-sealed packet? It's because it's made fresh inside every Raising Cane's every single day. Because when you make it right, you can taste it in every bite. Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product's always customer satisfaction. Come visit us at ReliefWindows.com. By the way, we do shutters too.
I'm Lawyer Locke Meredith. We are honored and humbled to receive from our clients in Google. Based on 5-star client reviews, the designation of our law firm is highly recommended. Whether you hire us at all, please give us a call, 272-5555. You have nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. Injuries happen when you least expect them to, making your life more complicated. At Locke Meredith Sean Fagan and Associates, we know this and we strive to help each of our clients during these times. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555.
If your office is experiencing performance issues,
Like slow networks, jammed printers, or disappearing files? Advanced Office Systems may be right for you. With powerful IT solutions, print management, document imaging, and security systems, they help offices regain confidence naturally. Side effects may include uncontrollable efficiency, smoother workflows, and a sudden burst of office joy. Say goodbye to those emotional breakdowns in the supply closet and get back on track with Advanced Office Systems.
I've been in banking for over 35 years. I usually start about 7:30 in the morning, and I usually leave somewhere around 5, or if customers need me to meet them at their house or their business places, I don't mind going after hours. I have done churches, subdivisions, retail centers, hospitals, and nursing homes. And that's why we chose to live in this community, because of the values First American Bank has, that I can serve my community and my customers.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
I think there's a lot of stuff that needs to look a lot different, look better, but it's their first exposure to it, and it's about taking steps each and every day through this thing. And I think it's just a reminder of how far we have to go to get to where we want to go through training camp. That's one day of pads, and there's a whole lot more from the pad level to the finish to all the fundamentals and details that you kind of sometimes all of a sudden pads go on, and you kind of forget about some of the basics of football. So all good learning experiences.
That's Kellen Moore at Saints camp. Pads went on today for the first time down there in Metairie, and they were popping. Let's talk a little bit more about what Kellen Moore had to say at Saints camp, and I want to talk specifically about a couple of rookies that the Saints took in the middle rounds of the draft. Of course, the news of the day over the weekend was the surprise retirement of Jalen Polk, and that creates opportunity for some of these young players. The Saints drafted 3 wide receivers, obviously Jordan Tyson in the first round, but you took Bryce Lance and Barryon Brown in the later rounds, and we know that Barryon Brown made a big play today at Saints camp. He's been an impactful player through a week of practices, and Kellen Moore talked about his big day today.
I've loved our experience with Barryon. He's done an awesome job. His energy, his juice, he's getting better each and every day. I think his practice habits are awesome. I think he continues to do that. He could be a great example for how to practice, and great response. We're close on one, doesn't happen. He gets another op, makes a big-time play. That's all you can ask for. That's awesome for him.
And we'd love to see him make the team here in New Orleans after a year at LSU, drafted by the Saints. Mickey Loomis made a little comment about that after the draft, saying, I drafted an LSU guy. Nobody can yell at me. But there's an opportunity here because you've got a chance to return kicks, and Barryon Brown's great at that, and there's a now newly opened space at wide receiver with Jalen Polk moving on from football. So Barryon Brown, with a really good camp, could make this team. He could make the 53. Got a chance to make the practice squad as well, but with the guy that is taken that late in the draft, you can be expendable, but he's making some waves early in camp. That's a great thing. Another guy in the middle rounds that I really liked this pick when the Saints made it made a lot of sense at the time, is Jeremiah Wright. That's a guy who is huge. He is physical. He played defensive line at Auburn, moved to the offensive side, and we know that right guard has not been great for the Saints for the last couple of years. They've invested a lot in Cesar Ruiz, but he hasn't been a great player at right guard. And I'm not suggesting that Jeremiah Wright's going to beat him out as a rookie this year, but if you can continue to bring him along, that's a guy who could be an upgrade at the right guard spot if he develops the way that I think the Saints want him to. And Kellen Moore spoke about Jeremiah Wright's early time in camp.
I've enjoyed Jeremiah. He's done a really nice job. He's a physical football player. He's strong. He's got size. He's just got to continue to grow, and as you go through this installation process, part of it is for these young guys, there's just new stuff every day. You just got to keep handling it, and then we'll continue to give these guys a whole bunch of opportunities as we go.
These are guys, this is where your depth comes in. It's where football teams that are really good, yes, you have your stars, but you are also able to hit on middle and late round picks that become foundational pieces to what you're trying to do. They may not be Pro Bowlers, they may not be guys that get the headlines, but if they can help you and they're cost effective, it's huge for you, especially when you look at the Saints potentially next year being a little bit more aggressive with free agency because they should have some salary cap money. You get more if you can plug in some of these young players and they can help you. So it's a big camp. It's a big year for Jeremiah Wright to become potentially a key piece to what the Saints are trying to do and maybe oust a veteran at that right guard spot. So that's a look at two of those guys, early mid-round draft picks that potentially could make some waves. But to go back to wide receiver, with the retirement of Jalen Polk, you're still a little bit thin there, and you're counting on young players in some instances beyond Olave, beyond Vele. And so do you go out there and add a veteran in free agency? To ask Kellen more about that.
Will you guys bring in another receiver?
We're always looking to see, if something suits us, but right now we got a lot of guys in that room that are all getting opportunities.
There's your little no answer there from Kellen, just saying, we're always looking, which is true. He doesn't have to say anything, but then they asked him a pointed question about a player that Kellen Moore worked with previously, and that's Keenan Allen, who is available.
Yeah, I love Keenan. Obviously, I had a great experience with him, 1 year, but we'll see how that goes. We'll see. We still got, I think, 12 guys on the roster, so got a lot of receivers.
Keenan Allen just offers a more proven option. You know what you're going to get from him. He's well past his prime. You're not getting Keenan Allen from 2022 here, but you are getting a guy that knows what he's doing out there and certainly knows Kellen Moore's offense, having spent a year in it. So I thought it was a reasonable question, and I would not be surprised if the Saints kick some tires there. But as he mentioned, I think they want to go young, and I think they're comfortable with their valuations with what they decided to do come draft time. It was intentional for them to add 3 wide receivers in the draft. That was something they did intentionally, and you hope that Tyson develops into a star, and you hope that you can get something productive out of Bryce Lance and Barryon Brown. And if you can address needs elsewhere with those funds. You can add another veteran cornerback. You can add someone on the interior defensive line with Brian Brzee going down. You've had issues on the offensive line. You can add there if need be. You've got issues at running back with some injuries. Maybe you need to add there. Like, it's a situation where you got to plug every hole, right? And this creates one with Jalen Polk moving on. But if you can plug that with rookies that you invested draft picks in, all of a sudden you can look elsewhere and trying to help your roster. It's that time of year, and we'll see when cuts happen, who becomes available, and the Saints will potentially have some wiggle room to go make some things happen. But you're not going to get a lot from Kellen Moore from the microphone talking about personnel decisions. I thought it was interesting that they just brought out a name there and made you say something, but he still kind of deflected the question to an extent. But that's the news from Saints camp down there in Metairie today. Pads went on for the first time. I'm curious to read Ross Jackson's piece up. All I know from today is that Chris Olave had a really nice day and Barryon Brown had a really nice day. And that's good to see after the trauma that you went through watching their wide receiver group in December of last year, to see the names that you expect putting up really nice days the first day the pads go on. I think that's a really good thing for New Orleans. All right, that's it for our Saints talk today. Get some sound there from Kellen Moore. Talked about Jalen Polk, talked about Barryon Brown, talked about Jeremiah Wright. Just kind of plugging along as we get closer to LSU's camp. They report tomorrow, and the first practice will be Wednesday sometime before lunch, we believe. We'll be out there, and we'll be covering it for LouisianaSports.net. I want to remind you of my friends over at Auctioner right now. It's a new month, so new talking points here from our friends over at Auctioner, and it revolves around back to school. As families get ready for back to school, Auctioner Health is reminding parents that success in the classroom starts with overall wellness. That means checking in on your child's mental health, not just grades. Pay attention to changes in mood or behavior. Create time to connect and encourage open conversations about how they're feeling. Also, nutrition plays a big role, and Auctioner recommends packing balanced lunches with proteins, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, getting kids involved in meal planning, healthy choices that are more appealing. And look, if you got a student athlete, make sure he or she is prepared with an annual sports physical, proper hydration, stretching, rest, and the right protective equipment. That's all from our friends over at Ochsner. Look, if you want more tips on helping your family start the school year healthy, safe, and ready to succeed, we invite you to go to Ochsner.org/BR. That's Ochsner.org/BR. We're chugging along here. Brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. When we come back, we'll talk some LSU football. I asked y'all who you wanted me to write about this morning on Twitter, and you gave me a couple of answers. I'll discuss them when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
I'm telling you, my friends over at Marucci, go take a tour of Marucci. Such a cool facility, such a cool story, and you can check out both. Learn how a couple of former major leaguers and their trainer started making bats in the backyard, and over the course of 2 decades, it became the official bat of Major League Baseball. It's a great story from right here in Baton Rouge. You can learn it. You can also see where they make 1,200 bats every single day. You can see where they shave them down, where they stand them, where they send them off to the best players in the world if you take a tour over at Marucci. Also invite you to check out the Hitter's House. Want to take some swings? You can do it. Become a member. Get key card access to their batting cages. You can use them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Got a youth baseball player, youth softball player in your house that wants to continue to improve? Get a membership to the Hitter's House over at Marucci.
As a business owner, you're always focused on how you can improve the bottom line. Well, when was the last time you shopped your insurance coverage? Insurance Network of Louisiana can help. If you're a business owner, let my friends at Insurance Network of Louisiana see if they can find you better coverage for less money. They always offer exceptional customer service and partner with only the best providers. So check them out online today at lainsurance.net.
My name is Mike Krumholt, and I've been with First American Bank for 4 years. What makes First American Bank special is we're able to offer all the products and services that any other big bank can offer. What sets us apart is being able to give that small town feel that someone can pick up the phone and they can talk to someone or stop by the branch and get excellent customer service.
Who bears the standard? Who sets the bar? It's not those satisfied by low-hanging fruit or by taking it easy. No, the standard is set by the best of us, by those who work hard. Dig deeper. Give more. At Sunshine, we're proud to provide John Deere products that work hard for you, the standard bearers. Find the dealer nearest you at sunequip.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. Look, back pain can sideline you from the things you love. That's why I trust Dr. Kevin McCarthy and the team at the Spine Center of Louisiana. Dr. McCarthy doesn't just treat symptoms. He gets to the root of the problem. From advanced injection therapy to minimally invasive surgery, they've got the expertise to get you back in the game. With 5 locations across Louisiana, including right here in Baton Rouge, quality care is close to home. Call the Spine Center of Louisiana.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Look, Jordan, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not in a very good headspace to do this segment right now.
What happened?
I'm furious with the Cubs.
I thought y'all made a trade, though.
Every single pitcher in the league, in the bullpen, throws 100. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody comes out chucking gas. The Cubs just love 92-mile-an-hour relievers. Just love them. Just traded for a guy, Braxton Garrett.
Okay.
I never heard of him. I looked him up. His ERA is 14.5. He has 8 walks in 4 1/3 innings. He had Tommy John surgery last year.
14?
He throws 92 miles an hour. I don't know what. Go get someone that throws 100. I'm so upset, and no one cares. I know it's bad radio. It's not what I'm supposed to do, but I'm just in a bad mood.
Wait, Hunt. I think you sped past this a little too. Did you say his ERA is 14?
Yes, he's only had 2 starts this year.
Oh, 4. Okay. But what happened to the? So you had the source.
Yeah,
off.
we had to source
what
off. It
happened with
doesn't
that?
sound like the trade's happened.
Okay,
doesn't mean
so
it's not going to happen, but it doesn't appear that it's happened.
It just sounds like the Cubs are just all over the place at the moment right now.
And the Pirates somehow got one of the guys the Cubs were potentially in on. The Pirates aren't going to the playoffs. What are they trading for?
Yeah, that is kind of crazy. Why are they buyers at the
By the way,
moment?
Skeens is getting rocked these days, and his fastball velocity is way down. I don't know what the deal is. I'm in such a bad mood. Let's talk about LSU football. That'll cheer me up. Braxton Garrett, 92-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah.
LSU doesn't even have guys that throw 92. Everybody at LSU throws harder than that.
Yeah, I'm about to say this Logan Schmidt guy sounds
97.
like the truth. Yeah.
All right. So last night, I decided to do something a little bit different. Every day on LouisianaSports.net, I've got a story due at 8 o'clock. So if you go to the website every morning at 8 o'clock, there's something new from me up every day. And it was like 5 o'clock, and I did not have anything prepared for 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was thinking about what I could write about. And I said, you know what? I'll just crowdsource this. So I went out and I said, all right, any player you want me to write about that's on LSU's team right now, football, men's basketball, or baseball, just name a player, and whoever gets the most mentions, I'll do. And it turned out that I got a couple of guys multiple times, and I put a poll together and got 215 votes in the poll. And the winner was Dylan Jones, and that's who I wrote about this morning. And I think it's interesting because there was so much turnover on the roster. You consider that all the quarterbacks left. Most of the offensive linemen left. All the wide receivers except one were gone. You lost your best playmaker at safety. You lost West Weeks at linebacker. You lost a couple guys in the interior on defense with Jacoby and Guillory and Bernard Gooden. You lost your edge players with Pyburn and then Patrick Payton and then Jamari Butler. There was so much turnover everywhere. The couple of places where you really kept a lot of continuity was one of them was running back, which was interesting because we thought when Frank Wilson left for Ole Miss that there was a real possibility that either Harlan Berry or Caden Durham might go to Ole Miss to play for Frank, and that didn't happen. You actually kept your 2 most talented backs. Caden Durham has led LSU in rushing for the last 2 years. And Harlan Berry was the number 1 back in the country coming out of high school that showed some flashes last year, specifically in the first half against A&M and the second half against Ole Miss. Showed some good things. And so you wouldn't have figured that LSU would be aggressive in the transfer portal at running back. Well, they got Racine Guillory pretty early, and then they got Dylan Jones, and then they got Stacey Gage. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, I'm surprised they were able to land 3-4 new tailbacks when you've got 2 guys coming back, because you figure guys that transfer want to get to the field really quickly. And that kind of looked blocked. And Dylan Jones kind of tore that block down. I wrote about this morning, and you can go check out the piece. But I told y'all this story before. We get to stand really close to the running backs at practice. I put this line in my story today. If we wanted to cover the offensive line at practice, we would need to take an Uber. The offensive line is so far away. It's almost impossible to assess anything they're doing because we can't go into the middle of the fields and they're on a far field, so it's hard to see. But the running backs, I can quite literally stand 3 feet from Dylan Jones. Now, they would ask me to move, but from where we observe the running backs at practice, they are no more than 10 yards away. In some cases, 4 or 5 yards away. And so we can hear Kevin Smith coaching them. We can watch them go through drills. We can identify who's going through where or what Kevin Smith's telling them, if he praises a rep or if he demands the rep be done again. And so we can evaluate those guys a little bit more closely. And what's very obvious when you look at Dylan Jones is that he is clearly the biggest back LSU has. He's got 2 or 3 inches on Caden Durham, and 10 pounds, and he's got 25 pounds on Harlem Berry. He's 5'11", and 215 pounds. He is clearly LSU's biggest back. And then I looked up Quinshon Judkins and Keywan Lacey's size, and they are both 5'11", about 215 pounds. They are almost exactly the same size as Dylan Jones. Now, that doesn't mean they're the same back as Dylan Jones, but they have the same type of profile. Physical backs, good speed, not necessarily game-breaking speed. Good speed, can hit the big plays, but physical and can take a pounding between the tackles. And what was evident to us as we went out there in the spring is that as the spring went on, Dylan Jones commanded more and more first-team reps. Now, they weren't tackling anybody to the ground, and the running periods are difficult to really assess because you can't tell how big a hole is or whether or not they would have broken a tackle because they kind of hand it off and they run into the big space, and then you arm quote-unquote tackle and they blow the whistle and you start over. But you can't really tell how much room was available in a lot of different running instances. So it's hard to tell who was making the biggest plays out there, but we can tell about reps. And then we started watching them go through the cone drills where it's just running backs and individuals. And a lot of times Dylan Jones went through first. Now, Caden Durham went through first some, and Harlem Berry went through first some. But I fully believe that Dylan Jones is going to start against Clemson. I believe that. Now, how confident am I? Not that confident. It would not surprise me at all if Caden Durham was out there. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Harlem Berry was out there. I was thinking about this as I was writing this morning. Do y'all remember? I don't even remember what season it was. I think it may have been the Florida State game in Orlando. I can't remember. But the first play of one season was a swing pass to Leonard Fournette. The first play was a swing pass to Leonard Fournette. So that's technically a start. He was never the starting running back at LSU. But so me trying to pin down the 11 guys in the huddle for the first snap against Clemson is probably a fool's errand. But let's just say who's going to get the most carries against Clemson and Ole Miss. Is that a fair way to diagnose LSU's number one running back? I think it's going to be Dylan Jones. I think he's going to get the most. Now, I also don't believe that this LSU running game is going to be like Leonard Fournette's best seasons, like Darius Geis's best season, like Jeremy Hill's best seasons, where one guy is the bell cow. I don't think LSU's going to have a 1,600-yard rusher this year. I think that Jones, Berry, and Durham are all going to play significant snaps. I think it's going to look more, and these are easy comparisons to make, but it's the one that hits home to most of y'all the easiest. Like the 2007 team that Hester was a part of. It was Hester, Charles Scott, Keelan Williams, Trenton Holiday, Richard Murphy was on those teams. But they had like four guys that really carried the ball. The 2011 team, they didn't really have a starting running back. Spencer Ware, Kenny Hilliard, Alfred Blue, Michael Ford, those four guys carried the mail. And like early in the season, it was a lot of Spencer Ware and a lot of Michael Ford. And late in the season, it was a lot of Kenny Hilliard. And Michael Ford ended up leading that team in rushing because he was kind of the constant. Hilliard didn't really play until the Tennessee game of that year. But they were backfields that had three or four guys they rotated through. And that's what I think you're going to get from this team. We don't know how Kevin Smith is going to handle rotations. Last year, not a lot. But like Keywan Lacey was the dude last year. Quinshon Judkins was the dude 3 years ago. I don't think LSU's going to have a dude this year that gets 85% of the carries. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he rarely came off the field in 2019. I don't think that's going to be the case for this LSU team. But I think that Dylan Jones would be my bet for LSU's leading rusher and most carries. I think he is emerged in that way. Now, we'll see if we go out there in fall camp and things look differently, and I'll come in here and tell you. I don't have any pride in being right here. I'm just trying to tell you what I think. And I do believe that Dylan Jones is going to be a difference maker. When I watch the tape, which is limited, he played 3 games as a freshman, was the Wisconsin starter last year, started 7 games and then got hurt, had turf toe that sidelined him. But when I watch that tape, I see a guy who gets downhill quickly. It's one cut and go. There's not a lot of dilly-dallying, not a lot of shake and bake. It's one cut, it's downhill, it's go. And it's physical. And that's, I think, what Lane Kiffin likes in a running back. And so I think you're going to see him do, and this is not like some wild projection. This is not some diamond in the rough that LSU found. Dylan Jones was a top 10 running back in his high school class according to 24/7 and ESPN. He was 6th in the country on ESPN. I think he was 9th on 24/7. But like, he was a 4-star. Michigan recruited him, Penn State recruited him, Florida recruited him, Auburn recruited him. He ended up at Wisconsin, which, by the way, produces some pretty good running backs. And he started as a second-year player there. So this is not a deal where I'm projecting some diamond in the rough they found on the scrap heap to come in and play. This is a Big Ten starting running back as a second-year player who was a 4-star recruit and a top 10 back in the country. He's a big-time player. And I think he's going to be a big-time player for LSU this year. If there's one thing I'm really excited to watch LSU this year do, it's run the ball, because I've been so frustrated the last 2 years watching them not try to run the football. Last in the SEC in rushing attempts. That is completely unacceptable at LSU, to be last in the SEC in rushing attempts. If you don't have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Terrace Marshall, then you need to be running the ball. Like, that LSU team did run the ball well, but they didn't really need to. They could just kind of do whatever they wanted. That was a horse of a different color there. But generally speaking, all things being equal, you got to run it. And LSU didn't even try the last 2 years. And you can pin that on bad offensive line play. You can pin that on bad offensive line coaching. You can pin that on bad game planning, bad play calling, the fact that they weren't good at it. Like, you can pin it on whatever you want. I'm just, the end game is you couldn't run the ball. That's unacceptable. That's going to change this year. And I'm very excited about that. And I believe Dylan Jones is going to be right there in the middle of it. It doesn't mean, this is not a bash Harlem Berry, bash Caden Durham segment. I think those two guys are really good players. And I think they'll play this year. I think Dylan Jones is going to be the top dog for LSU because I like his physicality. I'm still waiting to see that big playmaking from Harlem Berry. I think we will this year. But you're talking about a Lane Kiffin offense that led the SEC in rushing touchdowns last year, that 2 years ago was one of the best rushing offenses in the SEC. Maybe it was 3 years ago, one of the best rushing offenses in the SEC. They're committed to running the ball. They run it effectively all the time, and they're going to do that again this year. I think Dylan Jones becomes a big, big part of that down here in Baton Rouge. Again, LSU will be on the practice field coming up on Wednesday. We'll be there. We'll be writing up practice reports for LouisianaSports.net, and we'll be talking about it daily here. The grind of the summer is about over. It's a longer summer than most for us, with LSU baseball bowing out in May. That almost never happens, but that grind is over. Now it's time for real football. The Saints put the pads on today. LSU will be on the practice field in 2 days, and we'll have you covered over at LouisianaSports.net for free. We'll come back and close out the show. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services. BoudreauxElectrical.com. That's BoudreauxElectrical.com. Get that Generac home standby generator installed soon. Don't decide to get that Generac home standby generator installed when you're sitting in a hot, dark house because the storm blew through and you didn't have the foresight to get that generator put in. It's just part of life down here. We have thunderstorms in the afternoons. We have hurricanes. Boudreaux's Electrical has been servicing this part of the world for 40 years. Neil and Melissa have been at this for 40 years. They're the local option. Local team of installers, local team to monitor that generator 24/7. And if there's a mechanical issue that needs to be fixed, a local team will come out and fix it. So that you have the peace of mind of knowing that your power is not going to go out. If your neighborhood's power goes out, that generator powers it on. If you've purchased a Generac home standby generator from someone that wasn't Boudreaux's Electrical and you haven't heard from them and you haven't gotten the customer service that you need, get the Boudreaux's Boost. Call Boudreaux's Electrical at 985-397-1562. That's 985-397-1562. Or at the Gonzales location, 225-393-89. And get that Generac home standby generator installed soon. It's Boudreaux's Electrical Services.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product's always customer satisfaction. Come visit us at ReliefWindows.com. By the way, we do shutters too.
My name's Mike Krumholt, and I've been with First American Bank for 4 years. What makes First American Bank special is we're able to offer all the products and services that any other big bank can offer. What sets us apart is being able to give that small town feel that someone can pick up the phone and they can talk to someone or stop by the branch and get excellent customer service.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. Look, back pain can sideline you from the things you love. That's why I trust Dr. Kevin McCarthy and the team at the Spine Center of Louisiana. Dr. McCarthy doesn't just treat symptoms. He gets to the root of the problem. From advanced injection therapy to minimally invasive surgery, they've got the expertise to get you back in the game. With 5 locations across Louisiana, including right here in Baton Rouge, quality care is close to home. Call the Spine Center of Louisiana or visit spinela.com and tell them Matt sent you.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
As a business owner, you're always focused on how you can improve the bottom line. Well, when was the last time you shopped your insurance coverage? Insurance Network of Louisiana can help. If you're a business owner, let my friends at Insurance Network of Louisiana see if they can find you better coverage for less money. They always offer exceptional customer service and partner with only the best providers. So check them out online today at lainsurance.net.
Eagle 98.1, the rock station. Home of the Woody Show in the morning. Scotty Mack with Rock at Work. Michelle Southern with Southern Rock. Home of LSU sports since 1998. And rock for Baton Rouge since 1985. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. To join our VIP fan club, text ROCK to 225-499-9898. Eagle 98.1, the rock station.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Guarantee Health Solutions. Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. GuaranteeHealth.com.
Guarantee Health Solutions, guiding healthcare forward. They're online at GuaranteeHealth.com. That's GuaranteeHealth.com. Rachel Fricky and her team just do awesome work in the healthcare space, whether it's dealing with dental offices, hospitals, dealing with urgent cares, private practices, whatever the case may be. They are there to help healthcare with hospitality and to make sure that the website's functional and easy to use. How many clicks to care is something I've talked to Rachel about. How functional is your website if you're in the healthcare space? Is it easy to use? What happens when a patient comes in? How's that experience in the office? Maybe not something that healthcare professionals think about every day, but it's what they think about over at Guarantee Health Solutions, and they'll make sure that you are doing what's right by your patients, making sure that they're contacted about annuals, making sure that their experience in the office is a pleasant one. They can train your front desk. They can build out a website. They can deal with your digital marketing. That's what they do over at Guarantee Health Solutions. They're guiding healthcare forward. They're online at GuaranteeHealth.com, GuaranteeHealth.com. All right, busy day, busy weekend, I should say, and then into today with the Major League Baseball trading deadline for former LSU Tigers. Kevin Gausman was moved yesterday as part of a deal that sent him to the Chicago Cubs from Toronto, so he'll be plugged in with Alex Bregman there in Chicago. Which is cool for me, obviously, but we'll see if Gausman can kind of rediscover what was so good for him late last year, where he made a couple of World Series starts. He's 38 years old. He's getting up there. And Kevin Gausman's last year at LSU was against Stony Brook in 2012. So it's been a minute. That was 14 years ago. He's a 14-year big league vet. Came up with Baltimore and has bounced around. Been with the Braves, been with the Giants, been with the Blue Jays, and now makes his stop at Wrigley in Chicago with Alex Bregman. Those two missed each other by 1 year. Gausman's last year was against Stony Brook in 2012, and then Bregman was a freshman on that great 2013 team that Aaron Nola was the ace on. Mason Katz, Rafe Ryan, Jacoby Jones, Ty Ross was on that team. So cool for me to see those two guys in Cubby Blue, but not the only former LSU Tiger on the move. Josh Schmidt was traded today from the Rangers to Toronto, and Anthony Ianson was the key piece in a trade that sent Adley Rutschman, former Oregon State Beaver and former Baltimore Oriole. He sent Rutschman to the Red Sox, and Ianson heads back to Baltimore. I don't know a ton about Baltimore's pitching situation, but I did see on Twitter that there's a possibility Ianson could be up this year. Now, we'll see if they decide to do that. He's had a great year in the minor leagues with Boston. There's club control that you got to worry about, and I don't know what the new collective bargaining agreement is going to say about that anyway. So I'm not sure what the situation is for Baltimore, but you'd love it if Anthony Ianson got called up. It's becoming more and more apparent day by day why LSU was so good a couple of years ago in 2025, because nobody in AA is touching Cade Anderson and nobody in AA is touching Anthony Ianson right now, and those two guys are fast-tracked to the big leagues. I think Cade will make his debut with Seattle at some point there in a division race over there, and Baltimore has not had a good year, but we'll see what Anthony Ianson can do there. So, yeah, 3 Tigers on the move: Kevin Gausman, Anthony Ianson, and Josh Schmidt, all new homes in the Major League Baseball trade deadline. All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so a Minnesota man has been charged after he installed a homemade spike strip in his front lawn to stop children from cycling across his property. Police say the 39-year-old homeowner admitted placing the spike-covered plastic in the grass himself. According to CBS, he told officers he shouted at the kids over 100 times to stay off his lawn, claiming they deliberately rode across it out of spite. So, going to war for your front lawn, take it or leave it.
I'm gonna leave it. You let kids be kids. That's no good. Look, it's I understand that people get cranky with kids and kids do stupid stuff. I was a kid once and did plenty of stupid stuff, but you gotta just let kids be kids. If they're not defacing your property and just riding bike trails through. There's a guy in my neighborhood growing up. We had an active neighborhood, had a lot of kids, and we played baseball. And we had a spot where we always played baseball with a tennis ball, but this guy wouldn't let us go in his yard, so our bases were not symmetrical. Like, you had to go to first in one yard, second in the middle of the street, and then third was like straight down the street, and then you would go home because the guy wouldn't let us go in his yard. So we at least obeyed that and didn't go in the guy's yard. But you got to let kids be kids, man.
Yeah, the homemade spike trap in your yard,
it's dangerous.
Yeah, this guy, I know it's, you don't be the old man yelling to get off your lawn, but geez, man, give it a break. He needs school to start immediately. So at long last, the Dallas Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones, might be making a change, and this change is to cut out that nasty glare you see in AT&T Stadium. So if you watch it, midday, nasty glare coming in, blinding the players, mainly the Cowboys players. So Jerry Jones spoke today that he's not thinking about covering up, but he might tint the windows because, for the World Cup, they had to have the cover over the glass. So giving your own team a disadvantage, I mean, we got to lead that, right? Got to lead that.
I guess I'll leave
Gotta
it
lead
alone.
that.
I mean, I'd like everyone to be able to see.
Yeah,
if we could do that. I understand why teams put the visiting bench in the sun and all that kind of stuff, but heat exhaustion is one thing. Not being able to visibly see is another altogether.
In a dome.
Yeah. So, have you been to Jerry World?
No, I've not been to Jerry World.
Awesome.
I've heard it's amazing.
It's awesome. I haven't been in a long time. Last time I was in there was LSU TCU, which was Odell and
14?
Jarvis, so 14.
14? Yeah.
2014. That was the last time I was in there. I covered that game. I covered LSU and Oregon in there in 2011, and I went to the Cotton Bowl as a student in January of 2011 for the 2010 season, and that was awesome. Although college kids trying to buy beer in that stadium at like $11 a pop that hurt. that was a tough ask.
I did hear though that Jerry World, there's no bad seats. Like every seat's pretty good. Like you're in the
we were in the end zone. I mean, I've been in the press box twice and in the end zone once, and it was fine. It was good, but it was a little pricey for the college budget in Jerry World.
$11. Come on, man. All right, so a year ago, the 49ers were churning through bodies at training camp at an alarming rate, and it looks like it's happening again in 2026. So the 49ers injuries in only 5 practices so far. You got a Mike Evans quad, Stribling from Ole Miss hamstring, Ricky Pearsall's done for the year.
Yeah.
Christian Kirk's done. Jordan James rib, Keelan Black, the rookie abductor, Mikael Kamara, Indiana knee, Keon White abductor. So you see all these injuries. So is this the electronic substation really decimating the 49ers at this point? Take it or leave it.
I'm gonna leave it. I don't think the electronic substation is destroying soft tissue, but they do have a lot of injuries. I'll say that. That's one of the funnier conspiracy theories.
I love it.
We opened the show like talking about how I don't do conspiracy theories. Or ended the first hour with that because like when people were talking about the Dodgers. But I don't. I just unless there's just overwhelming evidence that I can't ignore. And football is a pretty dangerous sport.
Very
so
dangerous.
I'm just going to go ahead and say that they're just guys getting hurt, and it's not the electronic substation. But it's not good.
It's my favorite theory going on right now because after every injury, everybody just, substation. It's the substation. So that's it for it. Take it or leave it.
All right. The Cubs traded for Ryan Zephyr-John. I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah,
but it's not Reed Detmers, and the blogger that he's broken some Cubs news. He was wrong this time. He sent out a tweet, said that the Cubs got Reed Detmers, who was probably the best controllable starter on the market, and he was wrong. And that's a tough look for him and a tough look for me. I don't think the Cubs did a very good job here.
I mean, is his ERA better than the last guy you said?
I don't have any stats.
I'm about to say, I don't know. We should check his stats.
He's a reliever. Zephyr. I don't even know how to. The name's too hard for me to type out in Google. On it.
We don't even.
Ryan Zephyr-John. Oh, there it goes. It auto corrected. Let's see what the ERA is. He was born in 1998, so
he's young, pretty
reasonably young. This year, 3.66 ERA.
Way better than the other guy you said.
That is. So 75 strikeouts in 51 and 2/3 innings.
He's serviceable.
He's right-handed.
Yeah.
Hopefully he throws hard. I'm sick of 92-mile-an-hour fastballs. So Ryan Zephyr-John, former third-round pick of the Cubs. I guess we're going to win the World Series.
Hey, man. Hey. You gotta.
Dodgers got Scooble. We got Zephyr-John.
I was about to say, no need to fear.
What's the difference?
No need to fear. So look, what are you gonna do though? Because y'all gonna have to run it to them eventually.
We got to get in the playoffs first.
Okay.
We're not going to win the division.
Okay.
So the Brewers are going to win the division. They're like 7 games up, and so we're going to have to play the Braves or the Phillies or somebody and beat them, and then run into the Brewers, the Dodgers, whatever the case may be. I don't know. I'm just glad that they're interesting. The Cubs are interesting. They had so many injuries, and they lost 1 billion games in a row earlier. But they're keeping me intrigued into August into September, which is a good thing. If you missed any of the show today, catch it on demand. Talk some LSU football, talk some Saints, as well as some LSU basketball. So go catch that on demand. Matt's going to drive you home on next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Lifetime Roofing, lifetimeroofingla.com. That's lifetimeroofingla.com. It is storm season, and the odds are you may not know what kind of shape your roof's in. I certainly wouldn't. If you don't, you're in that boat, well, then get Lifetime Roofing to come out and just do an inspection. They'll do what's best for you. If you have a roof that's in good shape, they'll leave you alone. If you've got a roof that just needs a repair, they can do the repair. Maybe your roof's okay, but it could just use a tune-up, 4 to 5 things for storm season. They can do that as well. And if you just need a new roof, whether you've had damage or you're trying to sell your home and feel like it'd be good for the resale value, Lifetime Roofing is happy to do that. And with that new roof comes a lifetime workmanship warranty that includes the workmanship, obviously, but also the materials that are backed by Certainteed, one of the oldest and most trusted names in building materials. If you need financing, they've got 0% for 18 months. If you need to finance a deductible, they can do that as well. It's all there at Lifetime Roofing. Invite you to check them out online at lifetimeroofingla.com. Lifetime Roofing, lifetimeroofingla.com.